And now we're ready to start with the correct template file to create our cable tray props. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to do electrical here. And the first thing we're going to notice is that if we go down here to our families, look what we have: cable trays. We have a couple of different cable tray families with different types, and we also have some wonderful cable tray fittings: horizontal cross, channel, horizontal tees, unions, reducers. So all of our wonderful cable tray fittings are now loaded. Okay, so that's better. So back up to the top, go to electrical. Let's go to our power floor plan, okay, which probably has the cable and cable tray turned on. Let's go to a floor plan that has lighting. Okay, that's set up for lighting. If I go VV on the keyboard and go to visibility graphics, look, lighting doesn't have cable or cable trays turned on as far as a category goes. But if I go to my power floor plan and I type VV on the keyboard, it's almost like a layer. Cable tray fittings are turned on, and so are cable trays. Center lines are turned off for the cable tray fittings, so you can turn center lines on. Okay, but for the most part, at least they're on, and at least they are all preloaded. So now we shouldn't have a problem creating some cable trays. So let's go. I want some vertical and some horizontal. So I start my cable tray tool, and let's pick the ladder type. And I'm also going to change my detail level to be fine so it'll show up a little better. The width and height looks good. Let's set our offset. Let's start right down at 0. So I'm going to say 0, enter. The bend radius as it goes around corners and goes from horizontal to vertical puts a bend radius, that's the inside radius, of 12 inches. So that looks good. Finally, we're ready to go at 0. So I go click, and I can zoom in with the middle mouse button. And I go over here and I go click. And then now I go around the corner, click, it's going to put that elbow, that fitting in there for me. Go around here and click. Now I'm going to go up to, 5 feet. Remember, you have to provide enough room to do all the bends, right? So I'm going to stay in the same place and I'm going to go up here, but now I'm up at 5 feet. 5 feet. Then I go over to here and then I go up to, 10 feet. So now I'm at 10 feet. Okay, and then bing, and then I'm going to go back down to 0 feet. If I just want to stop, go down to 0 and stop, I would hit the apply button. It would go straight down and stop, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to click over here and have that kind of cross there. Escape, escape. Okay, go to my 3D view and change to be fine detail. It shows my ladder better. There's my little roller coaster. Pick on here, shift middle mouse button. Okay, so there's where I started at 0, and then I went up to 5 feet, and then I went to 10 feet, and then back down to 0. So that's not too bad. We've got a little bit of some props in there. If you want to change this or do anything with it, it's really easy to hover, tab, pick on that. Okay, hover, tab, click, and say, you know what, I'm going to, oh no, I wanted to change it to a different cable tray, but it's because it has the fittings with it. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my filter, and I'm going to take the fittings off. There's 13 fittings and 14 pieces of cable tray. A fitting is a bit different. Hit OK, and now I can take those cable trays and say, okay, you are, this type of cable tray. Click out. Okay, now if I want to do all the fittings, I can do a big window box like this. Okay, do a filter and filter out the cable trays this time, leaving only the fittings. Okay, and then I can take those, multiple types. I see, because, yeah, that would make sense. So what I want to do now is use my shift key, take these guys. You see how it would, I'm just playing around here. Pick, and so I'm using shift to remove. All of a sudden now I have all one type of object. Now I can go in here and change this to be a different corner, a different bend. So now I want to do my horizontal or my other bends. I can grab these guys here and I can say, okay, you guys are, standard instead of the ladder ones. Okay, inside of there. And we remember when we do cable tray, okay, if we do ladder cable tray with fittings, then it the fitting gets put in. If you say without, we had that lesson already with the difference between cable tray with fittings and cable tray without fittings. Okay, so you can try that again later. It doesn't really make much of a difference, but we notice that when we do without fittings, it doesn't show us the seam lines in between, even though the fitting is there. So you might want to do a little review on that. So just do a crossing box and delete those guys. Okay. So we have a couple cable trays. Let's change this over to be a shaded view. Okay, it shows up a little better. And we've got that. Now these guys look like they need to be open or something. Let's pick on here and see. Standard, outside bend, inside bend. That looks like those ones are going to show solid. That's just the way they are, I think. That's the way they're built. Okay, when it's an inside radius this way, it doesn't shell it. And then when it does this, it does. See what it looks like? It almost looks like it's upside down there. Okay. Let's pick on here and can we flip it? No, I think that's just actually the way they go. Okay, oddly enough. Maybe you can make a point of trying to have a look at that. So we've got some cable tray in there, different types, and now we're ready to add in some of our cable tray fittings.